Hello, everybody, and welcome to You'll Probably Agree. We ran into some technical difficulties, but we got everything to work finally. As always, I have Don Shanahan from Every Movie Has a Lesson, the Cinephile Hissyfit, the Chicago Critics, basically everywhere.
It
Uh,
feels like that. Let me
yeah,
tell you.
did I add 25YL? I think so. And then
If not, there it is. So
yeah, well, we're both on that now, I think. Yeah, so yeah, it's a great website for all your nostalgic stuff and newer stuff, and it's not just like clickbaity stuff. It's like actually gets in
no, they go
depth
deep.
about
I love the
movies.
way they do their work. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. I wrote a whole article about Raging Bull that's coming out that I poured a lot of heart into. I think I was like,
I'm
I'm
looking
just gonna
forward to
write
that.
a couple pages, and then I ended up writing like 2,000, 3,000 words, something like that.
That's
So
always how it goes.
you just vomit all over the page and clean up
hmm
the mess. Anyways, but today we're talking about a very different movie. We're talking about Suicide Squad,
I know.
or
Well, don't forget the
the, I was about to say the Suicide Squad, as in not the shitty one.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear what you thought about it. Certainly I could say I was in stitches a lot of times, especially with Polka-Dot, man.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you in terms of like the high level thoughts kind of thing. This was a massive improvement from the first one where just confused of what it wanted to be. Was it this dark and ominous seedy thing, or was it the humorous oddball situation that kind of is what Suicide Squad is when you throw all these personalities together into a mission or a movie or a story. And I felt like the only person having fun last movie was Harley Quinn. Now you have everybody kind of in on the fun, and it helps that you bring in the fun talent to do it. I mean, if this movie doesn't scream, the fingerprints and the smudges and all the touches of James Gunn, I don't know what is. And talk about a perfect hire for a perfect kind of project. He just really that's I know Guardians of the Galaxy is the easy thing everyone's going to point to, like, oh, he knows how to do ensemble, oddball, quirkball things. But that's kind of the point. Like, you hire the right person for the right kind of job for what they're good at. David Ayer for the first movie is really good at making seedy crime stories. We've seen that in what he can do, whether as a writer and as a director. So unless Suicide Squad was going to stay really dark, he's not a good fit. But once you get, if you need that to be a quirk fest, which it kind of is supposed to be, you kind of hire the wrong guy. David Ayer doesn't do quirks. James Gunn does, and you have that kind of energy and that kind of vibe, and it just serves the movies, just angle and purpose and attention to audience really well.
It seems like Warner Brothers is kind of walking back on not giving their directors creative freedom because we know with one thing I was worried about with Suicide Squad when they announced James Gunn and was like, oh, it's going to be so good. I'm going, well, last time they hired somebody from
Mm-hmm.
Marvel to come over to DC, we got Justice League or
Yeah.
Justice League. So I'm just thinking, well, what if we get another situation? Like, luckily, James Gunn didn't have sort of like an ulterior motive where I think, in a way, Joss Whedon and might have been sabotaging that film,
Mm-hmm.
putting in funny stuff where he knew he didn't need to be funny. Like, I mean, you go from The Flash saving the entire world after it's been destroyed to, him saving like a little Romanian family with a car. You can't help but think, yeah, he had some, but here he had something up his sleeve because he's like, no, I'm going to make Marvel or DC look bad so I can make Marvel look good. Here, James Gunn really does have that sort of element to his film where he knows, look, these are bad guys. They do bad things. We see grotesque violence. This is a
Mm-hmm.
true example as to why you make your movie rated R, and it makes a difference because you don't watch Goodfellas without the language. You don't watch Saving Private Ryan without the bloodshed.
Right.
It loses its impact. And here, when you have John Cena, who's supposed to be the peacekeeper, going around killing random people with a hatchet like he's chopping up meat, it's
Mm-hmm.
funny. It works. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
these guys are assholes, but
Yeah,
they're
and he does it
yeah.
with a straight face and with, of course, his frame and body and personality. It's DC is the cool part is DC's kind of always, for I don't know, how am I trying to say this? DC's been loosey goosey with character interpretation, even under Zack Snyder and stricter control. But when you bring in James Gunn and that cachet, and that was a get for them because of whatever the fallout was with his Twitter beef and all that stuff and all the controversies there, I feel like you got James Gunn coming over and saying, you know what, let me show off really good how what I can do, because this, as a response to, look what you're missing, Marvel. This is what you could totally get if you let me off my shackles. We never really hear a lot about Marvel's creative control because the products end up working out pretty okay. The collaborative experience must be all right between filmmaker and producer. I hear about all the volumes of notes Kevin Feige will give people, but he does it in a way of in a collaborative way. It's not an
Mhm.
overseer going, no, 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 make these changes, please, please, pretty please. Outside of like Edgar Wright leaving Ant-Man, we've never really seen strife come out of there. And that's probably a good thing for Marvel, because then it's, bad, not good working relationships, no bad headlines and all that. But then at the same time, this is James Gunn going, you know what? Let me show off my absolute full capability when I'm even not even under the Disney shackles and the content shackles, and
Mm.
to go full R rated, which is awesome.
Yeah, that was the nice thing about, I'll say, about DC versus Marvel. And I'm not trying to make it a Marvel versus DC thing, although I literally just
I
said
know.
Marvel versus
I know. I
DC.
did too.
But
I did too.
I mean, but the thing is that DC will give a director final cut, which is
Yeah.
why the Dark Knight is sort of the holy grail of comic book films, with Logan
Hmm.
coming in second. You let a director do what they want to do. You don't get in the way. And with Marvel, it's more like a committee, but I think when you walk into the project, they let you know up front, you do not get final cut. This is part of an overall story. We want to hear your
Hmm.
input. We want to hear your ideas. But, we can't have you doing this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
We can't have like you couldn't do with Disney the Suicide Squad. You can't have a guy
Right.
being shot, like some fat guy with his penis out being shot or
I
something like
know,
that.
right?
And it's great. I mean, I'm glad that we really got to see a director's vision, and I would like to see DC do more of this. Say, forget
Same
the
here.
world building, forget connecting, just
Yeah.
tell good stories.
Yep.
Yeah,
Tell a great standalone ass kicking thing.
yeah.
Right there with you.
Yeah, and that was the thing. The story worked so like there isn't much of a story. It's more about the jokes and the characters
Oh,
it's
totally.
around. Because like we're not here to watch like a 20-minute. Like the first film spent the entire first half
Oh my
pressing
gosh.
upon
Yeah.
the importance of each villain or
Hmm.
anti-hero or whatever. It doesn't matter. this
No.
this movie doesn't care. This movie's like this is Polka-Dot Man, because all he does is throw polka dots, and he gets made fun of by everybody. This is Rat Lady, who she did have a little bit of a backstory, but just a little bit, and it was kind of making fun of the fact that it was being sentimental at the same time. And then
Hmm.
Idris Elba's character, Bloodsport, he had a thing going on with his daughter, which I honestly didn't know what it was about or
Came and
didn't
went. I
care.
know. Right.
Because like they
Same
were just
here.
like yelling "fuck you" at each other. I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
like that. That's funny, But
Hmm.
then I'm like, wait, so why is he? Because if he said he didn't want his daughter, why is he? Whatever. It doesn't
I
matter.
know.
Just make the jokes, blow the shit up. The one concern I have is with this movie
Okay.
is it's a bit like Deadpool. When Deadpool 2 came out, Deadpool 2 was a very funny movie, but we know the formula, we know the jokes. So when you make a Suicide Squad 3, it's kind of like, all right, we've been here. We know this
Yeah.
is an obscure character. Like, I didn't know someone like Polka-Dot Man even existed until I
Hmm.
Wikipedia'd it. I'm like, oh my God, he did. He, like, popped up in a Batman comic in, like, the 60s or something like that. And I'm wondering like how many of these type of jokes they can make until
Hmm.
everybody just kind of goes, all right, what else you got, what else you got, and they're like, well, that's kind of it.
Yeah. I think they paced it all right because they had a big enough ensemble, and like you said, they kind of cut to the chase, and not a lot of not the shouting match between Idris Elba and Viola Davis is purely there to give Viola Davis and Idris Elba something really cool to do together as two probably the two best actors in this movie.
Mm,
But you're right, that comes and goes, and kind of doesn't serve its purpose any more than the shouting match at the prison visitation thing, where that's the only get to know you exposition you get, and you just throw everything else on the island and go. that there's enough of an ensemble there that are quirky and interesting and played by fun people that you can learn about them along the way, and we do in little moments and little asides and almost little interludes that keep that whole thing moving. Like Harley Quinn's whole middle angle when she ends up with the little president guy and has that whole sweep of a wonderful day and evenings thing, and then of course it all snowballs in a bloody awesome way. Like it chose its moments to extend, it chose its moments to joke, and it spaced them out enough. And I feel like the people who are delivering the jokes have different styles in which they do, where it wasn't all repetitive. Like when you watch
Mm.
Deadpool, it's just Ryan Reynolds 1,000 miles an hour for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Here, it's the irascible old gruff Idris Elba. It's straight face John Cena.
Mhm.
It's and Harley Quinn and Margot Robbie's style, and then you have your two little demure characters with Ratcatcher and Polka-Dot Man. Stallone just being the Groot of the show. I know we're not trying to do the Marvel character comparison, but let's be honest, he just kind of
Oh, I wrote
is
that in my
there and does
review.
his
He's
thing.
DC's new Groot, where like
Yeah,
Vin Diesel just says "I am Groot,"
and then
Sylvester Stallone just says "hand"
yeah,
or "friend."
and Joel Kinnaman is the last guy there, kind of
Yeah.
just stirring the drink where he can. There's enough variety where the jokes that are coming out aren't always the same jokes. There's always jokes coming, but they're not done the same way, and they're shaped in different styles and coming from different people. I think that helps a little bit.
I think this movie properly, and this is a term I found out from YouTube, like video essay. Uh, it uses Bathos, and Bathos is sort of
Okay.
like when you put in a joke in a scene where there shouldn't be a joke. For instance, let's say
Right.
someone's dying in the hospital bed, and as they pass, so does their gas. You go,
Right, right.
and like the Last Jedi did that in a way that really upset audiences, especially
Hmm.
me. I'm one of those guys who was like, that movie wasn't Star Wars.
Right.
But this movie does it properly, where it knows it's funny and it's a joke, and to let it go. And
Yeah, yeah.
because you could slap in that R rating, because you could have, John Cena say something like, it doesn't matter if what you're showing up is dope as fuck.
I know, I know.
It's
Yeah,
it's great.
that helps.
There's so many like funny moments that I don't want to give away.
No, no,
But I mean, I do want to say I was laughing my ass off when
oh,
Idris
same
Elba
here.
turns to Polka-Dot Man and he says, "It's your mother." I just kept saying that to
I know.
myself again and
And then
again last night.
our big alien, I don't know if that's spoiled or not by trailers and stuff. Our big alien turns into his mother, busting up this little, Latin city. Yeah, just the I think that's the other thing is that not only is it different actors and different styles of comedy and people and performances come together, it's again, we'll go back to James Gunn. It's the showmanship.
Mm.
It's I'm gonna drop this sly little joke, sometimes loud, sometimes soft, but it's always gonna be cool. Or like the movie says, dope as fuck.
Hmm.
And it backs it up. And it's rare that we get a lot of that to show up. And I'm happy to see that. I think the other piece that kind of comes to mind is like, and you kind of said this is the jokes and the stuff that gets delivered kind of matches the tone of the movie. It's not just thrown in for the sake of swerving and breaking something else up that's meant to be more heroic or more serious. It's just all shenanigans. Whereas the first Suicide Squad is because it's David Ayer is trying to be this deadly, serious, twisted little thing, especially when you throw Jared Leto's Joker in there.
Yeah.
So for this movie to not have that kind of sinister edge, it's pure cartoonishness. It just fits, and nothing is mismatched, and it just shapes itself all right.
Yeah, it's kind of had like a smaller budget feel to it, although it was big
Yeah,
budget. I don't
definitely.
know what I think it was because like the first half of the movie, I just kept thinking about Tropic Thunder,
Sure.
because they're like in the middle of a jungle and everybody's just kind of breaking the fourth wall, and I'm just going, yeah, this has like a Ben Stiller energy to it, but
Yeah.
it's just fun. It
Mhm.
was probably the most fun I had like in a movie in a while, just because like everyone
Yeah.
was in on the joke, and it was great to see it with a full audience of people. My ears were ringing after the movie because the sound in that AMC is so loud, it just kicks off my tinnitus like crazy.
Oh man, I bet. No, and that's the cool thing. the other thing that it backs up is the action quotient. Like, it's not all humor for the sake of just standing around and dicking around in humor.
Yeah.
You still got a really good little action movie that keeps on moving and has really well scripted battles and stunt coordination, which it just again really pops and shows off what this movie can do when you properly can mix a little bit of initiative of story with yucking it up.
Now, did you have a favorite character in the movie?
I, you know, I'm I'm an old school 80s wrestling kid where I'm more of a Macho Man Randy
Yeah.
Savage and Hulk Hogan guy. And I'm not a current wrestling fan. I keep an eye on it just to keep an eye on it, but I get a kick out of John Cena
Oh yeah.
because I mean, because in real life, so to speak, and even out of character from from the show, the wrestling show, he's a consummate good guy. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the stats. Like, he's granted more Make a Wish Foundation wishes than anybody in the company's history. It's like 650
I
wishes.
think
That's like
yeah.
it's obscene. It's like
Yeah.
2 a week for 15 years. It's nuts. And so he's a super duper good getter, or Boy Scout kind of guy.
Yeah, he doesn't follow
So
the politics of Vince, who runs the place.
no, not at all. And some of that comes from the character he plays in the wrestling thing, where
Yeah.
he is an outspoken good guy, but every now and then in something like Trainwreck or something like this, he shows that little wink and a smile of like, you know what? I'm a dirty motherfucker too. Like, I'm ripped. I know I look good. My penis bulge looks good. I'm gonna show it off because I can, and if I needed to,
Yeah.
I could beat your ass. Because that whole scene where he's showing up in the tidy whities, I'm laughing my ass off. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. So and then and his ball busting foil dynamic with Idris Elba, where he just tries to diffuse and one-upmanship of all the things he does, and that same thing with that robotic straight face that Cena sometimes can do. I dug John Cena.
Yeah, and it's amazing how they used all that budget and you still couldn't see him. All right, I should have
Right.
dropped that
Who's
one.
your favorite character? Who'd you dig on?
Oh, I did Polka-Dot Man, just because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's so like obscure and stupid. Like the moment you see him, they're like, "Polka-Dot Man, you're a fucking pussy," and he's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
crying. But then and he's just like full on Norman Bates. They even call him Norman Bates at one point in the
Mm-hmm.
movie. And like he actually has his, I was kind of disappointed. Oh wait, I can't give that away. But
We could say he gets a very good. He probably gets the best emotional arc in the movie, if we can say it like that.
in some
Maybe Harley
ways he
Quinn does.
does, because like
Yeah.
he wants to prove that he's worth something,
Hmm.
and he does. He proves that he's a superhero. And I mean, I was glad that Idris was the protagonist, and they're not like, oh, let's do another Harley Quinn thing. It's like, we've done
Yeah.
Harley Quinn, we've done her story. Let's talk about this
Yeah.
other guy.
And
And
she still gets plenty for
yeah,
sure.
and the greatest thing is there is sort of a level of stakes in this film you wouldn't
Definitely.
think, because these
And a
guys
body
aren't.
count, which is
Yeah,
awesome too.
they're not beloved characters. They could die at any moment. Like at the beginning of the film, they send in an A team and things don't go so well for them. Especially no, the squirrel.
Right.
Yeah, they got the squirrel. Or
Oh
what?
yeah.
What the hell was that thing?
Oh,
But-
it was no, it's not the squirrel. It's like the not a rat, the weasel. The
Yeah.
weasel. That's what it was.
And then they had Doctor Who. I can't remember the name of the actor who actually was kind of playing this mind
Oh,
control
the
bad
thinker.
guy.
This Peter Capaldi. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I just thought that was kind of like a nice little play on things. Like, oh, he's kind of doing an alien thing, and he's like an alien on that show. And for my limited knowledge of Doctor Who, it's
I
something
don't, I
that
don't watch it either. I just know he's good. I've seen him in other movies where he's a sharp, acid-tongued kind of, political. He's always like a jerk and a cad in the British word. So
yeah.
he's always a fun character because he's same thing, can kind of wrinkle those eyebrows and make it funny. So.
Yeah. The nice thing is also like structurally, it does like a nice sort of job throwing you off, because that's for a while I'm like, wait, isn't Harley Quinn supposed to be in this movie? And then when they
Mhm.
finally get back to her scene, she just has I mean the shot from the trailer, it's even the thumbnail in the trailer where you see like all the flowers popping up behind her. Like I've never really seen Harley Quinn have like a legitimately badass moment in any of these films.
I know,
And
but
like
you got one here, would you say, right?
everyone got their moment. Ratcatcher had her moment. Ratcatcher played by, if I'm going correctly, well,
Daniela Melchior.
yeah. There you
Yeah,
go. Yeah, I'm trying to find her name on IMDb here, but
sure.
she was great. She was sort of
She did a nice job.
she actually reminded me. I remember this girl when I was in middle school, and she actually loved rats. She brought in a pet rat and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it's weird. I was never like grossed out by rats or anything. I
A
lived
true Chicagoan. Look at you, tough guy.
yeah. Well, it's like this is before I was like lived in Chicago, but like
Okay.
uh oh yeah, Taiki Watiti was in this, wasn't he? He played the Ratcatcher's dad. Oh my
Yeah,
God, I forgot that. So he's been in two movies in a row I saw because I saw Freeman the day
I
afterwards.
know.
And his role in Freeman wasn't as good. They let him like way off the cuff with the improv stuff, and I was getting worried
Right,
about
right.
that when they were saying in the behind the scenes. It's like we would just let him go off with the scene. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that a lot when Ghostbusters came out. Like we just let him have fun. Like yeah, I know how that turns out.
I
Um,
know.
but
I
like
mean, I still had fun with him in Free Guy, but it can be a little much. I know what you mean.
yeah, like when he goes, "What you talking about, Willis?" I'm like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" They left that in
Yeah,
the
I know.
picture. Uh,
I know. There's you got to rein a little bit of that in. I'm with you there.
yeah, but I did like how like in the beginning you already have like one group, and slight spoiler, but not really spoiler. You have one group of people who come in, they get blown to bits, and then
Hmm.
the other group comes in. You're like, who's gonna die?
Uh-huh.
I got. I think King Shark would come close. I thought he was gonna die for sure at one
Oh
point in the
yeah.
movie, but I'm glad to see he's alive for another film. Those checks, so those will be the easiest money Stallone's ever
Oh, I
made.
know. He's
You
doing
know,
great.
yeah. He was a perfect. I'm glad he kind of is a good sport where he's like, yeah, I'll play a dumb guy. I get it. Holy shit! D. Bradley Baker was in this. If anyone,
Yeah.
yeah, holy shit, the clones. If anyone doesn't know, he voices all the clones. My God, that's
I did not
amazing.
know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
No, there's like nice little subtle and Nathan Fillion. The James Gunn connections are strong. Michael Rooker. So, oh yeah,
oh,
there's something for all there's the name drop stuff that people can search and find in there.
and Pete Davidson. If anyone's a Pete
Oh
Davidson
yeah,
hater,
yeah.
you'll love this movie.
I know, and I'm a Pete Davidson hater, so I was like, yes, well done.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm mixed about him, you know? Like for one thing, if you have like I get why he went off on that on the college kids about being woke and stuff like that. I agreed, but Jesus
Mhm.
Christ, dude, they paid money for your show. What are you doing?
I know.
Like as a guy who works in the stand-up comedy world, that's like the dumbest rookie move you can do, which is like to snap back at the audience. You know, the only person who can do that is Bill Burr. You
I
know,
agree.
yeah. But I mean, the structure worked, the story worked, the jokes worked.
Yeah.
I'm
Question for you,
yeah.
in terms of structure and the kind of the pace of things. Does it wear out its welcome? Does it go on too long? Because this
Some jokes
movie
do.
is flirting with not the jokes. I mean, like just even the chase of everything. Because
No, I
it's.
felt like it ticked along great.
I
Like
think it take. I was gonna say the same thing. Like I was worried, like if this thing goes over 2 hours and becomes something that's like 2 hours and 20 minutes, then I'm like, oh, okay, how much time are we really gonna spend at this beach, or how much time
yeah,
are we gonna spend in this camp? How many layers and levels of this Jotunheim tower are we really gonna ascend? Like the video game aspect of it of keep moving, keep moving, keep moving can get a little long because this movie is 2 hours and 12 minutes. Where I'm like, ooh, that was like, all right, what are they over squeezing? And I
mm,
thought it was all right too. Like I there's places I think I would trim. If I'm trimming, it's probably the beginning. I don't need the tech guys doing their little place the bets thing. I don't need
mm,
Idris Elba and Viola Davis arguing. I don't need the daughter angle. You can throw us on the beach and just say let's go.
yeah,
That'd be cool.
yeah.
And maybe there's 12 minutes there, but I don't know.
You didn't really need an emotional arc with the daughter, but I get why you put it in. You need a
Yeah,
reason for the
it's your
character to
lead.
do the thing.
Yeah, you got to convince Idris Elba to be here other than just shouting orders and looking cool. So
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, if you're gonna have Elba and Davis in the same movie and not square them off, you're wasting a little bit of opportunity too. And same thing, you need give Viola Davis something to do. So
It'd be cool if they had like, because interest. I think he actually does music. So it would be,
probably
yeah. No, he like talked about it on Hot Ones. So it's like it would be just
okay.
amazing if he and oh they shot that on red. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I could tell by the image just from like using those cameras. They had that very milky sort of image to them.
Hmm.
You know, I
Yeah,
think there's
definitely.
because it's made by a company of guys who created uh, like computers and stuff like that. Where if you get like an Arri Alexa, that's made by a cinematography company. But I did like, having said that, I did like the camera work in the movie. There was a lot of fun sort of. They did desaturate a bit like a Zack Snyder film, but it worked because they're like in the middle of a debris-filled war zone. I liked how the
Hmm.
camera spun around when Harley Quinn's doing the usual dual gun, like shoot 'em up
Yeah,
slow motion
definitely.
sequence. Um, there was definitely, it felt like they were having fun with the film and nobody was tapping on the back saying, well, put this here, put that there. Is that in the store yet? And I think that freedom really kind of echoed on screen. And it's a movie that, like, even if you don't get, if you're kind of scared to see it in the theater, I think you could see it on HBO Max for free. And it's definitely something I would love to watch this actually with a bunch of friends of mine this weekend, uh, just for some good laughs and just to see the reactions to each moment. Like, I think this movie will definitely be one where you see like YouTube clips pop up a bunch of times, like, oh shit, remember this scene? Remember this scene? Here's the dopest fuck scene. I love this. And with all those sort of moments, I'm wondering if a sequel could top it. I'm not sure. I don't think it would. But uh, I guess my one real criticism of the movie is just the title.
Oh, with the, I think they're
Yeah.
trying to be all like, the Juilliard School and the Ohio State. Like that's a nice rub in of like, hey, that last thing you saw 5 years ago, that's not Suicide Squad. This is Suicide Squad.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
honestly, in a what-upmanship level, this, yeah, this is the one. It does it a lot better than the other one. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. Now I'm surprised that Warner Brothers would let themselves look one upped. You know, so again, I guess that is a little bit yeah, I see your surprise there. What were you thinking with it?
Well, I'm glad. One thing I was kind of thinking in the back of my head when I was watching it was like, man, they could have called this James Gunn's Suicide Squad. You know,
Yeah,
they could have been
but
like
they throw, yeah,
with
they
Zack
throw too many.
Snyder's Justice League's.
If you're going there, right? I see what you mean. That'd be
Yeah,
pretty
it's like, I
funny.
don't know. Do they really want to be that kind of like, we like our
I know.
directors now? Because I think with the first Suicide Squad, didn't they have a lot of creative disagreements with David
Think so.
Ayer or something like
Yeah,
that?
because he's been bitching about his own cut that is all dark, no clowning. And it's
Mm.
supposed to be the edgy thing he dreamt and conceived that was cut to ribbons and softened a thousand ways from sideways. Yeah, I mean it's not released as the Snyder cut, but you gotta release the Ayer cut crowd out there for sure.
Yeah. I'm wondering how
I'd
that would
see it.
turn out.
I
Yeah.
don't think you're gonna get the just I Warner Brothers, unlike Justice League, where they were pumping HBO Max subscriptions and things like that, there's not a financial gain other than physical media to be had by putting that out anytime soon. Unless this becomes this super big hit and people are like, well, how was the first one really that bad? Can we see it? And that'd be the only thing I can see coming out of that.
Yeah, and somehow make it
I don't know.
connect to the second one. I don't know.
Right.
But I mean, either way, I'm just not.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I don't need
it's
it. Yeah.
yeah. I think the Snyder cut that one. I mean, the circumstances behind that were so personal
True.
that it was like, well, if that happened to me, such a family tragedy. Yeah, I felt legitimately happy for Zack Snyder. I'm like, that's good for him. I'm happy for his
Mm-hmm.
family. But David Ayer, it's like, I don't know, man. Like Zack Snyder, for as dumb as like Batman versus Superman is, and for all the problems with Man of Steel, like the guy legitimately loves his character and loves his stories.
Yeah,
Even if
I
I don't
agree.
agree with his like kind of edgy, angsty, teenage boyish sort of decisions, but I would expect from an amateur bodybuilder. I mean, if I
Right,
was
right.
in high school, I probably would have made the same kind of movie. Like, no, I'm gonna make it like serious, tough, and yeah. But with that said, yeah, I don't think I'd care to see an air cut. I don't think we need to see a director's cut for every single movie.
No, I agree.
Um,
And you said this on your social media posts. We've said it together in different places, like on Ian Simmons' Kicking the Seat show. Just grant a little more collaboration and creativity of your directors, and you won't have to do these fiascos. Just let them have their way. You hired them for a reason. Let it happen.
yeah.
Collaborate. Just talk enough that you can find some middle ground, and but let your artist be artist, and you do that, and you don't have to bitch and moan and chase. So
Yeah, well, Hollywood isn't quite, they want stuff exactly their way. But yeah, when
I
they do,
know,
but look at how well it turned out with Christopher Nolan. That was
true.
something where I think the studio came in with Batman and they said, okay, make it light, make it funny. And then they did, which
Hmm.
I actually talked to Mark the Movie Man about Batman
Yeah,
Forever, and we were both saying how uh, we we didn't like Batman Forever as much as Batman and Robin because Batman Forever
I
tried to
agree.
be dark and stupid at the same time, and Batman and Robin is just like, no, we're just gonna be dumb, and
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
had fun because of that. Did I like the movie? No, but at least it knew what
Yeah.
it was. This one knows what it is. The first movie seemed confused. It's like it wants to be dark and edgy and disturbing. Like, okay, but I don't necessarily feel disturbed with this film, but I want to see
Hmm.
what he did with it. But I don't think it's gonna be anything that's gonna make me blow me away and go, oh yeah, that's so much different. Like I don't know, but that
Right.
movie was just such I like had a headache watching that film because it was cutting to so much so rapidly. Like even Oliver Stone would watch that like mid '90s, like while he's in the middle of a coke binge, and he'd be like, all right,
Hmm.
cut it out, stop cutting to shit.
Right. Do you think now I know we're staying spoiler free, so there's
Yeah.
not much all that more to talk about. So I kind of prognosticate for the future, getting close to the end here. Do you think it's going to have a pretty good little weekend here,
Oh, I think
box
it'll do
office and
great.
success wise? I
I
think it's
think they'll
going to
do
rake
great
as well.
because like the audience I saw it with, like there was a lot of people there, and they were like really excited to see it.
Hmm.
I saw a couple notable YouTubers that I really liked there, but
Oh,
I
there you
didn't
go.
want to. I said hi to them before. I didn't want to, be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Do you think it will get enough to have a third one? Keep this little train going.
oh, of course, the first one
I
made
think so
enough
too.
money, so the second one
Right.
will.
I
Um,
think so too.
which characters do you think would pop up in the third movie if they were to have one? It'd be funny if they have Robin there and they just kill him
Oh, I know.
as
That'd
a
be awesome.
joke.
I think that's your challenging thing because DC's gonna, and Warner Brothers, I should say, is still gonna, especially when they're flush with cash and a big success, they're gonna try to stuff a little more sugar into the bag. So,
Yeah.
you know, in this movie, you have an alien villain that doesn't have to walk, doesn't well, it walks, but it doesn't have to talk, doesn't have to have plot. It just kind of
It's just a
is and
giant
is around.
starfish.
Yeah,
Or
it's Big Starro. I didn't want to spoil it in case we weren't going
oh
to
no,
spoil
they
it,
say it
but
in the trailers.
oh, good. Well, then,
Yeah.
yeah, when you have Starro, which is a fascinating villain because of the physical imposing thing that it can be, and this was a really cool way of doing Starro. But next time I feel like they can't just have a big behemoth thing. You're probably gonna have to bring back some kind of heavy to have a heavy versus heavy fight. So
Mm.
that my big question mark is if you go forward and you're flush with cash and this is a big success, are you bringing back Jared Leto's Joker, or are you bringing
No.
in are these ragtag guys that you assemble gonna fight one of your established heroes? Is Zachary Levi Shazam showing up? Is Dwayne Johnson showing up playing Black Adam? Or I feel like John Cena is coming back because I hear they're going to have this Peacemaker TV show that kind of is a bit of a bridge between other things. Do you
Mm.
bring Will Smith back? Now that this is successful and you can make him happy, I see more question marks than sure things. I think the
Yeah.
sure thing is a sequel's coming. What you put there, I'm always, as usual, scared they're going to overdo it
Yeah, I like this
if they can't help
because
themselves.
this movie's less than more. Like I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
saying
yeah.
earlier, it felt sort of smaller budget because it just kind of took place in a couple locations. You had the jungle and then the sort of like military facility
Hmm.
that they had to break into with the giant starfish, which I don't know if the butthole starfish thing is a real thing or not.
Right?
But I'm like, I need to see if that's a real thing. I could kind of see that being, I could kind of see how that would be. Yeah, I can see how a butthole looks like a starfish.
That's
And I
true.
think now that I think about it,
Well,
but
dig deep and you know it. I don't want to be Star Wars, but
speaking of
search your
digging
feelings, you
deep,
know it's true,
bend over and show me your dark side. All right.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, yeah. This is a show that takes place in a bar, apparently. But
That's right.
well, if the Wi-Fi was better in the bar, I'd use
Yeah,
it.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Sorry about it again. But yeah.
Oh no, no, no. I'm not in the bar this time, but yeah. But oh yeah, we had that old picture of me that's like 60 pounds ago up on there.
Hmm.
Um,
We got
But
you got
yeah,
to clean that up a little bit.
I'm.
Get some polish going here.
Oh yeah, I don't even need to use I don't even need to use Photoshop to look like better now. I
I
just
know. You just
mhm.
are. That's right.
But but yeah, I'm questions for the see. I hope they don't try to overstuff it. I hope this like Warner Brothers doesn't walk in and be like, "Hey, bring this back, bring that back," so then we can tie
Hmm.
it to the first one. It's like, no,
I
no,
know.
fuck that. Just make another movie. Like,
Yeah.
don't
Bring
even.
bring more weird people.
Yeah,
Have an anchor or two that follows along, but have fun.
yeah.
Dig deep again. Find another Polka-Dot man.
There is yeah, there is a post-credit scene that does kind of
Yeah.
set up a sequel, which I'm cool if they go in that direction. I'm like, all right,
Hmm.
I like that character. That's cool. We'll see where it goes. It would be great if you see something like a WWE match between Dwayne Johnson
I know,
and
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and
So that's the fun part because you have other villains, you have other big personalities. Would they fit in a movie like this? For what it looks like so far, I know they haven't had trailers and all that, but I assume Dwayne Johnson playing a big heavy villain is playing a big heavy villain, not a silly villain. That villain's meant to be an ass kicker, not meant to be a
yeah,
jokester. Even though we know Dwayne Johnson can joke, so he'll be. I don't think he'll fit a third movie like this, despite
yeah.
how cool it would be to have Cena and Johnson in a movie.
Yeah, I wonder if was he the one causing trouble on Fast and Furious or was it Vin
See, that's
Diesel?
the point of contention. Is it Vin,
Yeah.
being territorial? Is it Dwayne taking it too far? Obviously, they're not staying together, and Dwayne's not going back. But good
Yeah.
question there.
Hmm. I know
That's
from
right.
the Chicago, because like as a guy who like crewed on stuff for a while, like on the Chicago Cruise page, like someone who worked on the Fast and
Yeah.
Furious film said, I'll just put it this way: between Dwayne the Rock Johnson and Vin Diesel, one guy showed up to set on time, the other guy didn't. I'm
I
like,
hear it's something as
ooh,
simple as that too.
yeah, yeah. It's usually, I mean, that sucks if you do that. If you're the main talent. Everyone's waiting
Hmm.
around for hours. I know Tommy
Yeah.
Wiseau did that on The Room. Like he'd show up at like noon or no, not noon, like at
Right.
5 p.m. And then they'd be like, "What the hell? Like we've been here on set all day." He's like, "He's fine. Saw the movie, you know." But
Yeah. My guess is it's Diesel more than Johnson.
yeah,
But
that's what
but
I'm
I
guessing because it
my
seems
guess is
like
it's
Johnson has
Diva
a
being a diva.
strong work ethic,
Oh,
and
I
Vin
know. That's the
Diesel.
thing.
I'm not I'm not doubting his work ethic, but
Yeah,
it seems like he likes to party a lot.
I
You know,
agree.
so he'd probably just show up like hungover, like do the scene. People are like, Jesus Christ, man, get your shit together.
Hmm.
You know, that's why the Groot thing worked out so well. He's
I know
like,
because he just shows up, drops his voice 3 times, and they do loop it and dub it where they need to.
that's the best job in the world is to be
I
a voice
know.
actor. It's best. I want that job. I'm gonna go for that now.
Cool.
Go
So
for it.
what's next, man? What
But
you got a
but
free guy you saw? What else is on the
oh
calendar for you?
yeah. So I guess we could include this if you'd like.
Oh, I can't
Yeah,
finish them all together.
I
So
don't
I'll
think
stick to the
so.
one movie here.
But yeah, we'll just stick to Suicide Squad for now. But yeah, Suicide Squad, I gave it like 3.5 out of 4 Guinnesses.
I was a
In
four
my,
out of five guy. I'm right there with you.
yeah,
Very above average. Laugh my ass off.
yeah, it was great. I just think maybe some I didn't get the whole daughter father relationship thing,
Yeah,
and it
like
was kind of an excuse to keep the story going. So I didn't really care about that. And but outside of that, I was surprised. Like when the movie ended, I'm like, wait, that. Wow, was that 2.5? Was that 2 hours and 10 minutes?
hmm
Whoa, that
it
went
did pretty fly. I was
fast.
happy to see that too.
Yeah,
20 minutes.
it went so fast, and it was so much fun. I don't really have anything left of relevance to say about it other than,
No, me too. This has
yeah,
been good, man. Thanks for having me. This is
enjoy
always
it.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Don, for coming on and dealing with the technical difficulties.
Hey, mine
Remember,
too.
yeah,
Enjoy the metal shop editing.
it'll take 2 seconds, and we'll see.
Gotcha.
But yeah, everyone, check out John Shanahan. Is there a John? Check out
My middle name is John.
Don.
I can be John.
Holy shit, it is.
It is.
Ah, that's hilarious. I guessed it right. But check out Don Shanahan at Every Movie Has a Lesson at Cinephile Hissyfit podcast. Available on, I'm guessing, what, iTunes, Spotify? All that?
iTunes, Spotify, the works, the use.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I gotta set up a Spotify for myself.
Yeah,
I
you
got
should.
lots of content, lots of the Star Wars stuff I've been doing every week. I gotta turn that into podcast form, which will be easy. And Yeah, also, you can check them out anywhere. What's the other one I got? Oh, 25yearslater.com,
That's it.
25YL. And you can check me out on 25YL as well. You can read my super depressing article about Raging Bull and toxic masculinity.
I'm looking
When it
forward to
comes
it.
to,
That's gonna be great.
oh yeah, I think I broke it down almost scene by scene, and I had to stop,
Sure.
but I still almost like, ooh, because like I love that movie so
I know.
much.
I know your passion for that one, so that's gonna be a good read. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to it.
yeah. Well, they didn't give me notes back, so I guess that's a good sign.
That's a
Yeah,
good sign. Yeah.
yeah. But thanks a lot for coming on. The Suicide Squad. You can check it out in theaters or on HBO Max. I gotta say, a lot of people are giving HBO shit about the HBO Max thing, but it's kind of might be the future. They might be onto something.
I think you're
So,
right.
yeah, we'll see. You'll probably agree that we like this film. And if you don't agree, tell us why respectfully outside of calling me names. But if you want to call me names, I don't care. Go ahead. Do it. You can't hurt me. Except when I'm like eating ice cream at night, crying, I said I looked like George Lucas's son. All right. That was back when I was fat. All right, but John, thanks so much for coming on, and we will see you later, guys.
All right. Take care.
Go to ypareviews.com. Subscribe to YPA Reviews. The YPA stands for You'll Probably Agree, and hopefully you'll probably agree with us.